late teens, early 20s, early 30s, doing it when they are in their 40s and 50s and 60s becomes not really a pattern that they are comfortable with. So we have to start early. I think I am actually getting close to running out of time. But again, medical engineering, new term, prosthesis, diagnostic, autonomous surgical tools, biotechnology and bioinformatics and biosensing and tissue engineering are such areas. Big is the environmental engineering and sciences, including remediation of organic waste and biological destruction, both autonomously and otherwise. Again, many schools are doing what's at the bottom of the slide, which would have been thought of as sacrilege for engineers 10 or 20 years ago, requiring things like molecular cellular biology for all students. Again, need for doing this is important. E-business, globalization, outsourcing, studying logistics and entrepreneurship. The computer that I'm delivering this speech from was made from parts, and I counted 18 different countries. Global complex supply chain logistical management is a requirement, and automating that global supply chain management via autonomous entities, both for delivery and for building autonomously, is of course the way of the future. Business has to be integrated within this paradigm. It's not only about the interdisciplinary work and the breadth of knowledge, but it's also about planning and business integration. I think again that I'm done with the discussion about interdisciplinarity. All that I can say is we have to involve industry in everything we do. Again, within the area of robotics and humanoid robots and the disappearance of manual service and the disappearance of manual job, what we do as educators and researchers has to involve industry advisors. Our education should be very experiential. Our students, both graduate, undergraduate, and PhD students, have to be incredibly immersed in startup activities, co-op activities, internships, and work while they are graduate assistants or undergraduate assistants. And that's basically what we need to do as academicians, relationships with industries, complete involvement of all constituencies, joint work and research and curricular development, interfacing with venture capitalists and incubators and accelerators is truly a requirement. These again are a set of simple projects within the, again, in some cases, autonomous robotics areas, working on, again, things like simple things, like designing gloves for chiropractors and physicians so they are able to manipulate the spine, as an example, while recognizing the pressure points and autonomously doing the right pressure on the spine so we wouldn't crack something as physicians, is again a great example of engineering, computer engineers, electrical and mechanical engineers working together with chiropractors from the health sciences and business departments to create a prototype for a physician glove that has load cells that can help manipulate the body in a much more efficient and safe manner. Again, a classical example of a robotic exercise that requires lots of involvement. Tire changing, big problem, and simple things like racing and so on. Coming up with tire changing autonomous structures and also autonomous structures for charging cars in the future is required. Reverse engineering in dentistry and filmmaking, again, coming up with these autonomous devices for dentists that are already there for doing 3D printing of problematic teeth and crown is again a 3D printing autonomous activity that's going to prevail within the dentistry area as an example. Doing robots and robotic prototypes based on specific task descriptions, whether they are within the service area or within a car factory, is again becoming the wave of the future. As we have discussed, personalized medicine, tailored medicine for every individual based on their DNA and genetics, designing robotic structures based on the task as opposed to buying things off the shelf is going to be the new way for the robotics area. We only design what we need for the specific job that we want in the most efficient manner and autonomously. Robotic reproduction, having a bunch of robots and a bunch of raw materials sitting in a warehouse, and then based on a specific task, a particular industry would order that robotic recreative or recreation facility to design robots and have them delivered to do the job is going to be one of the ways of the future. I can probably go for the next 2 or 3 hours, but I just wanted to make sure that the message is clear. We need interdisciplinary education in the future, future projects, future workforce requirements, future global impact when we're working on sustainable activities requires interdisciplinary training, requires getting out from our comfort zone and not be hesitant about addressing other areas that we need to learn in order to be productive. And this should be done again across departments, across colleges, joint work with industry, other universities, schools, high school districts, industry, and venture capitalists. Thank you again. I think we have time for questions. And these are my contact coordinates. My email is written at the end of the slide. My email is tsobh@LTU, Lawrence Technological University.edu. I'll be very happy to entertain questions based on what our host will say now for the next 10 minutes or so. But if you have any questions, would like to have any conversation, would like to collaborate, brainstorm, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me directly. Thank you again for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. So I think we got one question from Sarah. Hello.
Good afternoon, everyone. Presentation. It was really open-minded and inspiring. I just want to ask, because for our generation, we and my friends love to interact with do multidisciplinary researches, but unfortunately we are having some underestimation and objections from the seniors, and we want to know how would you advise us to propagate such multidisciplinary culture for all generations.
Sure. Well, I mean, what you're facing or what you're describing is not really atypical at all. And I want to say this delicately. I mean, being responsible for a technological university in the country, higher education is not like industry. Higher education is notoriously known for moving slow, as opposed to moving very, very fast. So what you're saying is unfortunately not uncommon. What you're saying is very, very common in higher education. Educational institutions, particularly good ones that have existed for many years. I mean, my own institution is close to 100 years old, and we're still having these discussions. So we have, some faculty members and colleagues who are very excited about being able to come up with this new programming all the time. Be very agile, enterprising, creative, and innovative, and come up with the certificates and come up with the training programs and multidisciplinary research and new degrees all the time in order to cope with the time. But again, in some cases, there will be colleagues, very distinguished ones, who think, we should be measured in what we do, and we should not get away from discipline programming and be a little bit hesitant when it comes to interdisciplinary programming and so on. So I guess my answer is not really an answer, but you have to lead the way. I mean, you and your colleagues and fellow students and graduate students and faculty members, both ones who've been there for a long time and ones who've not been there for a long time, have to keep at it, have to keep trying to convince and talk about the value proposition. What I can tell you is this. What I can tell you is, and I'm going to use the US as an example. I did talk about the 6,000 universities that exist in the US, right? And I did talk about, the the technological ones. There are many, many different categories. I can tell you right now that maybe if we're having this discussion 10 years from now, that number 6,000 will probably be 3,000. Many, many universities and many higher education institutions, not only in the US, but everywhere, are facing really existential questions. They are facing the value proposition questions. Parents and students are not willing to send, their children or themselves to a university for 3, 4, 5 years or more, and then basically have these, students come back and live in the house without having an eminent high-paying job in the future economy. The universities, and there are many of them, that are not really creative, on the cutting edge, coming up with the new programming, ensuring great outcomes for their students and graduates and researchers in terms of employment, future outlook, being trained for the future jobs. And I'm gonna, sorry to say it, are simply gonna close because nobody's gonna go to them anymore. And even look at the US right now. Every year, used to be maybe 5, 6, 10 universities or colleges are closing, which is a very big thing, never happened in higher education. That number is exponentially changing. Universities that are offering programs in only one narrow area in the humanities or whatever, nothing wrong about the humanities, but without an outlook to future jobs, students and parents are stopping going to them because there is no value proposition. So organically things will change, coping with the times and institutions that are agile and enterprising moving forward and dispensing that interdisciplinary programming of the future will be driven by the student needs, will be driven by young researchers' needs, will be driven by what the companies and the economies need. If departments keep graduating students and nobody wants to hire them, nobody's going to go to these institutions in the first place. So anyway, all I'm trying to say is, I guess, be optimistic. So.
Yeah. Thank you for an inspiring answer.
Well, it wasn't that inspiring. It was the reality. But my best wishes, of course.
No, it is. You give us a good future, a good hopes for the future.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank
you.
Any other quick questions to Professor Tarek?
Any questions from the floor? If no, we may move to our next session 2.
No, I have a favor to ask of you, if you don't mind. I want you to take a snap picture of our great guests and attendees, and I'd like you to send that to me. So if you can ask, well, I'd like you to ask our distinguished guests to, if possible, to go on video, to not stop the video, and I want you to take a snapshot if you don't mind, and
yes,
I'd like you to email that to me. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're there, show yourselves if possible, so we can do a nice collage. Yes, thank you. So kind, appreciate it very, very much. Yes, perfect. Let's wait a minute, and then
yeah, I will do a countdown.
And then we'll have the group photo. Okay.
Okay, everyone, please turn on your camera, and we will capture a virtual photo.
Let's wait a minute. Dr. Omar has come. Thank you, Dr. Omar.
And,
yes, we have more colleagues coming in. Let's wait a minute. Let's wait a minute.
But in the meantime, maybe you can tell us how the accreditation organizations in the US are looking to the picture which you were drawing for the future.
Becoming very flexible. Is this Dr. Samir asking?
No, this is Andreas.
This is Andreas
Preston. Maybe you remember me. We
Andreas.
met.
Oh my God. Hi, Andreas. How are you? This is wonderful.
I'm working now together with Samir.
Okay. Oh, I'm so pleased to be here with you. Well, again, the answer is very, very flexible. ABIT, notorious as an example for being this bean counting organization. And then when they came up with the ABIT 2000 criteria, which we thought would be relieving, it became even worse. Now they are looking very, very, I guess, progressively at many of these. I'll give you an example. At LTU, we have the only robotics undergraduate engineering program, right? That program is that. It's not computer engineering, that's different. It's a very, very interdisciplinary program, maybe one of 7 in the US that is accredited by ABIT. I was personally expecting that ABIT at Lawrence Tech, when they come and visit, they would give us a hard time because of the amazing interdisciplinary nature of the program, etc. They were actually incredibly complimentary. I think the move, whether it's ABIT or ACSP or NASAT for design, is that they are recognizing that. And again, we have to understand, all of these accrediting agencies, whether it's ABIT or ACSP, are our colleagues. It's people like us who go and review others. So as time progresses, many more people like us will be the prevalent, visiting teams for the accreditations. Our assistant, have you taken the picture already?
Yes, we are ready. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so 3.
So,
I count 3. Okay.
Please email it to me. Don't forget, right?
Yeah. Okay. 3,
Thank you.
2, 1, cheese. One more take. 3, 2, 1, cheese. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Okay. So later
Thank
we
you.
will email you the photo, Professor.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate you listening to me. If you have any questions or anything you would like to discuss, it would be my pleasure and honor to hear from you. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Omar. Thank you, Andreas. Thank you, Samir, for the great invitation.
You.
Welcome, my dear. Take care.
Take care. So now we may move to our next session 2. Please welcome our session chair, Professor Hagar Ketchum from Laval University, Canada. He will gonna help us to chair session 2, Artificial Intelligence and Teaching Technology, and also he will be the first speaker. Hello, madam.
Hello.
So you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm just trying to share my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we see.
Yeah. So welcome to session 2 of ICSIE 2020 conference. My name is Hagar and I am the session chair, as you said. The session begins at 4:55 and ends at 7:10 p.m. What I would say to the presenters is that the duration of each presentation is 15 minutes, in which 3 minutes of a question and answer period is included. Therefore, allow 12 minutes for your presentation. When I raise my hand with the sign of victory, it doesn't mean that you have won something, but it means that you only have 2 minutes left for